Did you know that over 3 million people will die this year from a vaccine-preventable disease, and that of that number, 1.5 million of these deaths are children under 5 years of age? This is something that needs to be stopped immediately, and vaccines are the key way to do that. The first vaccine was administered back in 1796 by Edward Jenner to a small boy. Since then, vaccines have been one of the most popular topics in the media. I think this is because it's such a strange concept of preventing a disease. Like, who would think that putting something into you that has part of that disease will be what ends up saving you from it? But regardless of how strange it sounds, their effectiveness is evident and continues to be more evident as time goes on. The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia reports that when the polio vaccine was released, its inventor Jonas Salk became an overnight hero, and polio was defeated. Since then, other diseases have been eradicated as well. But you might be asking yourself, what would keep someone from vaccinating if it's so clear that they're saving people's lives? There have been 3 things that have shown to keep people from vaccinating, and those include issues about personal rights, differences about religion, and fear of the spread of misinformation on what's really going into their body. All of these are contributing to the current divide on stances between vaccinations, but there's one thing that both sides have in common. Everyone wants to keep them and their families healthy in the safest way possible. Vaccines are needed to better the public health, to build up workplace and school immunity, and because they have more risks than rewards. My first main point is that vaccines better the public health. The CDC has a slogan, "Don't wait, vaccinate," is what it reads. They support vaccines because they think that vaccine-preventable diseases can cause long-term illness, hospitalization, and even death. So they think that it is in your best interest to get the vaccine. That same article reads that skipping vaccines leaves the body vulnerable to the flu, shingles, HPV, and other things as well. Vaccines also don't help just you as an individual. There's something called herd immunity, and it is a concept that if I vaccinated myself, I would be immune from getting a disease, and if I came into contact with someone that hadn't vaccinated themselves, I wouldn't be giving them that disease because I'm immune to it. And so herd immunity is when even if members of the population aren't vaccinated, they're better off because they're around people that were vaccinated. The United Foundation Partner reports that vaccines save 285 children every hour. In America, that number is said to be 732,000 children's lives saved from vaccines and 322 million cases of childhood illness prevented in just a span of 20 years. So I have here some graphs of 3 of the most prevalent diseases that in the past 100 years, and now a bit closer. It just shows that this is when they were introduced, and this is how prevalent they are today. That one was for the measles. Here's the chicken pox. You can just see how that slopes down. And this one is for hepatitis B, and you can also see again how once the vaccine was introduced, how often people were dying from it, just almost hit 0. So to recap this first point, in terms of public health, the stats show that vaccines are definitely doing their job. My second point is that vaccines better schools and workplaces. Disease prevention extends from just the opinions of the CDC and the public as a whole. State records show that every single state does not let children attend school unless they have at least one type of vaccine, and that applies for licensed daycare centers as well. Along with that, Dr. Robert Field reports that hospitals require workers to vaccinate or risk losing their jobs. This is because of the idea that vaccinating in hospitals reduces disease spread from floor to floor, reduces how many employees are gone from being sick, and reduces the likelihood that you leave the hospital with an illness that you didn't even come in with. This all shows that vaccines are beneficial to build up school and workplace immunity because this minor medical procedure has saved more lives in the past 100 years than any other medical advance so far. Another reason vaccines should be used immediately by a greater amount of the population is because there are more benefits to it than there are risks. The fear of adverse reactions is one of the largest reasons why people are afraid of getting a vaccination. Specifically, they're afraid of something called anaphylaxis. This reaction occurs when your airways narrow and your blood pressure drops. According to a study from the American Academy of Asthma and Allergy Immunology, out of 25 million patients that were studied that received a vaccine, only 33 had this anaphylaxis reaction, 1 needed hospitalization, and 0 people died. Statistically speaking, you are 100 times more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to have an anaphylaxis reaction from a vaccination. There's also concern due to a lot of media coverage about cases of autism, diabetes, and Bell's palsy occurring from various vaccinations. Vanderbilt University and many other colleges as well devised a study, and it revealed that vaccines do not and will not ever cause any of these reported problems because they're mostly linked to genetics and occur way before the child would even be receiving a vaccination. Science is providing the soundness of mind because of the safety of vaccines and is helping to get more people on board, but there is still more work that can be done. Finally, vaccines don't just protect us, but they also protect the future. Years ago, rubella killed 11,000 babies and gave 20,000 babies birth defects, as reported by vaccinesprocon.org. But once the vaccination for rubella was made, many mothers received it and therefore completely demolished the likelihood of any child they had after having rubella, and therefore protected the future offspring in their community because, like I said before, about the idea of herd immunity. Along with that, vaccines don't just help to save lives, they're also economically smart. The CDC estimates that kids vaccinated between 1994 and 2014 have yielded savings of over $1.38 trillion due to the prevention of lost productivity from disability and early death for people that would be dying of vaccine-preventable illnesses. So, in conclusion, much information supports vaccines and shows that they are beneficial and should be used by more people in the population. They better the public health, build up work and school immunity, they have more benefits than risks, and they're economically smart. So I hope that those in favor of vaccinations realize that the thing that they're choosing to do is smart not only for them, but for their community as well. But above all, I hope that those that have reservations can see the benefits that are to be gained from vaccinating, and that the fears they have are probably smaller than they think, and that if they would just choose to get vaccinated, they could help protect themselves, their family, and the future.